Wish You Well, written by David Baldacci and read by Norma Lana. To my mother, the inspiration for this novel. Author's note. The story in Wish You Well is fictional, but the setting, other than the place names, is not. I have been to those mountains, and also was fortunate to grow up with two women who called the High Rock home for many years. My maternal grandmother, Cora Rose, lived with my family in Richmond for the last 10 years of her life, but spent the prior 6 decades or so on the top of a mountain in southwestern Virginia. At her knee, I learned about that land and the life there. My mother, the youngest of 10, lived on that mountain for the first 17 years of her life, and while I was growing up, she passed along to me many fascinating stories from her youth. Indeed, both the hardships and the adventures experienced by the characters in the novel would not be unfamiliar to her. In addition to the stories I listened to as a child, I spent considerable time interviewing my mother in preparation for writing Wish You Well, and it was an enlightening time for me on many levels. Once we reach adulthood, most of us assume we know all there is to know about our parents and other family members. However, if you take the time to ask questions and actually listen to the answers, you may find there is still much to learn about people so close to you. Thus, this novel is, in part, an oral history of both where and how my mother grew up. Oral histories are a dying art, which is sad indeed, for they show appropriate respect for the lives and experiences of those who have come before. And, just as important, they document those remembrances, for once those lives are over, that personal knowledge is lost forever. Unfortunately, we live in a time now where everyone seems to be solely looking ahead, as though we deem nothing in the past worthy of our attention. The future is always fresh and exciting, and it has a pull on us that times past simply can never muster. Yet it may well be that our greatest wealth as human beings can be discovered by simply looking behind us. Though I am known for my suspense novels, I have always been drawn to stories of the past in my native Virginia, and tales of people living in places that sharply limited their ambitions, yet provided them with a richness of knowledge and experience few have ever attained. Ironically, as a writer, I've spent the last 20 years or so hunting relentlessly for story material, and utterly failed to see a lumberyard full within my own family. However, while it came later than it probably should have, writing this novel was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Wish You Well. Chapter 1. The air was moist, the coming rain telegraphed by plump gray clouds, and the blue sky fast fading. The 1936 four-door Lincoln Zephyr sedan moved down the winding road at a decent, if unhurried, pace. The car's interior was filled with the inviting aromas of warm sourdough bread, baked chicken, and peach and cinnamon pie from the picnic basket that sat so temptingly between the two children in the back seat. Louisa Mae Cardinal, 12 years old, tall and rangy, her hair the color of sun-dappled straw and her eyes blue, was known simply as Lou. She was a pretty girl who would almost certainly grow into a beautiful woman. But Lou would fight tea parties, pigtails, and frilly dresses to the death, and somehow win. It was just her nature. The notebook was open on her lap, and Lou was filling the blank pages with writings of importance to her, as a fisherman does his net. And from the girl's pleased look, she was landing fat cod with every pitch and catch. As always, the girl was very intent on her writing. Lou came by that trait honestly, as her father had such fever to an even greater degree than his daughter. On the other side of the picnic basket was Lou's brother Oz. The name was a contraction of his given one, Oscar. He was 7, small for his age, though there was the promise of height in his long feet. He did not possess the lanky limbs and athletic grace of his sister. Oz also lacked the confidence that so plainly burned in Lou's eyes. And yet he held his worn stuffed bear with the unbreakable clench of a wrestler, and he had a way about him that naturally warmed other souls. After meeting...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?